Hi, I'm Olivia Adams. I am a real estate agent with Compass and also the owner and founder of Olivia Properties within Compass. So my company or my team name under Compass is Olivia Properties, but technically also we're all real estate agents under Compass. So you could say CEO of Olivia Properties / real estate agent at Compass. Okay. So I graduated in 2012, and senior year, we had to take a sales class, which I'm sure you guys still have to do that, maybe. And I quickly realized I wasn't sure. I mean, I loved marketing. I loved the advertising part of it, but I wasn't exactly sure like where I wanted to be in the mix within marketing business. And I took a sales class, and I remember my professor saying, we had someone, we had speakers all the time come in and, they would talk about their businesses or talk about their sales organizations or what have you. And I just remember thinking, I really should get into sales or some type of sales and consulting because it just seems, the opportunities seem limitless. So first semester of senior year, one of my sorority sisters was working for this tech company up in Northern Virginia. And I applied for a software sales entry-level position and got the job. So when I graduated, I moved to Northern Virginia and started working in software sales for this company, which if you had told me I was going to be in software sales, like that was never, that just like wasn't I didn't go to college being like, oh, I want to be in software sales. But tech is a big deal, and this is, you have to remember, like right when, obviously like Facebook and Google and tech was like really exploding. And so I started working at this company, and it really, looking back now, molded so much of my sales career. So I started as what a lot of people call business development rep. So I was working for someone. We traveled all the time. We were working, probably 10, 12 hours a day. Like we were really, really grinding, but we totally learned how to sell and learned how to create relationships. And selling software there's nothing glamorous about selling software, right? Like, yeah, it's great because, it helps companies and it's fundamental for companies, but like, it's not super sexy, right? And it also, what's tough about software sales is you don't see the ROI of software for 6-12 months in most cases. So like here I was fresh out of college. By the way, most of this was on the phone. It was not outside sales. So I'm cold calling. We had to make 60 calls a day minimum. So I'm cold calling all day long, trying to get these people to talk to my boss at the time and pitch them our software, right? But we really had to learn how to sell the value of something, because we were basically like, look, trust me that it's gonna work, but you'll see your ROI in 6 months. So I always tell people like, if you wanna get into sales or you think you wanna get into sales, you should absolutely work for a company that's really gonna teach you how to hustle. Like we absolutely learn that and teach you how to sell the value of something. It's not just the product, right? It's how does this change your organization? Like look at like the iPhone, for example. We all have an iPhone, but like think about when that first was launched, everyone was like, what is this new phone? But Apple took the approach of like, this is going to change your life because everything is in this one device. So anyway, so I started there, worked my way up, became my boss. So we were called sales executives, had a little team under me, started traveling all the time. And it was great. I loved it. I did really well. I was a top sales rep, but I just wanted something more. I just, I liked what I did. I loved the people I work with. I still am really good friends with a lot of these people, but I just had this like fire in my belly to do something different. And I always wanted to get into real estate. I always liked real estate. And so I literally started taking classes at night, didn't tell my bosses. Like I would just leave, like sneak out the back door at like 5:30 and go take these classes, and got my license. And I passed my test right before Memorial Day. This was 5 years ago now. And I remember setting a meeting with my bosses, my manager and his boss, who I was very close with. And I was terrified because I was like, am I making a huge mistake? Like I'm literally leaving this job that I really like, I was doing really well, to go be in real estate, which by the way is 100% commission. Like if you don't sell a house, you don't get paid. And I was 25 or 6 at the time. So I was like, is this like the biggest career mistake I'm ever going to make? But I remember thinking like, okay, I'm going to give myself 6 months. And if I fall flat on my face, like I'll either ask for my job back or find a different sales job. But I was like, if I don't try this now, I'm never going to do it. Like now's the time, right? It's like, what do I have to lose? So I went in and I told my bosses, and they were super supportive. Like I said, I still have a really good relationship with them today. And then that was it. And the next day, a couple of days went by, but the next day I woke up and all of a sudden now I was a real estate agent. And I was like, what do I do? No one teaches you how to be an agent. No one teaches you how to get leads. No one teaches you how to sell a house. Like the test that you pass, it teaches you contractual things and legal things, but I had no idea. So I joined a team and I got a mentor is the first thing that I did. And I was like, teach me everything you know. Like, I knew I could sell, but selling real estate is so emotional, right? Like it's a huge investment and it's such a big decision and it's such a big purchase in someone's life. And it is way different than selling software to the CMO of a company or, selling a product to someone. It is much more emotional and there's much more that is involved with it. It's a much larger financial decision. So got a mentor and I was like, teach me everything. Like just teach me. And that was basically it. And I sold my first house within a couple weeks. A lot of that I think was partially luck. Not to discredit myself, but it's true. I think I got a little lucky. And then sold another house. And then about 6 or 7 months in, I fell flat on my face and sold nothing for like probably 6 months. Not one thing. I did rentals, but you don't make as much on rentals. But I sold nothing, literally. So I went from being a top sales rep to didn't sell anything for 6 months, which means I didn't get paid for 6 months. And I was like, oh my God, I made a massive mistake. Like, I was like crying. Like, I was just like, what did I do? And that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I'll tell you what, when your back's up against a wall and you have to figure out how to make it happen for yourself, there's one of two things you can do. You can either give up and be like, okay, I failed, like it's over. Or you can wake up every single day and figure out how to make it happen and figure out how to turn it around and create the company and create the brand that you want. And that's what I did. I was like, I refuse to fail. Like, I'm not giving up. Like, I'm really good at my job. I just have to figure out how to fill my funnel and, start getting more clients and really start cranking out more sales. I attest so much of that to surrounding myself with people who were more successful than me and, more established than I was. Like, I was like, let me look at the biggest teams and the biggest agents in our area and in my brokerage and in the country. Like, what are they doing? And emulate that. And I think that's a piece of advice I would give to anyone is get yourself in the room of the people that you want to be or the positions that you aspire to be in. Like, get yourself in those rooms. Talk to those people, listen to what they say, learn from them. Like, that is the most invaluable thing that you can do, is look at what those people are doing and then either emulate that, but obviously you have to do it in an authentic and genuine way that's true to yourself, right? So that's what I did. I just started grinding and I just took risks. Part of owning a business, a lot of people don't realize that about real estate, is you own your own business, right? Like, no one gives me leads, no one pays for anything. Like, it's all on me. And you quickly have to learn that you're growing a small business. And I think, once I started to do that and implement some of those things, it just took off from there. And it ended up working out for me. So now I have a team. And now, we sold over 25 million in real estate last year. We're on track. This year, we've already sold almost 20 million year to date. So it's pretty remarkable when I look back on 5 short years, how much everything has grown and changed and where we've gotten. But I think if I hadn't fallen on my face and I hadn't had that experience, I don't know that I would have gotten here as quickly. I would say two different things to that. I would say it's super rewarding when your client finds their dream house or buys their first home or sells their first home, all the memories that they've created, like just seeing the look on people's faces. And it's just such a joyful moment, right? And it's a big milestone in people's lives. And to be a part of that is huge. I think also the relationships that I create, like I love so many of my clients, like we talk all the time still, and it's little things. It's, for example, a couple of weeks ago, one of my clients, they were pregnant when they were buying their house and they sent me a picture when their little girl was born. And it was like, here she is. And they were like, the next real estate agent on Olivia's team. Like, it's just, that's the kind of stuff that it's just awesome. It's wonderful to be able to create those relationships. And just, to be a part of such a huge process in someone's life and such a huge decision in someone's life. It's such an honor to be the one that's a part of that. Yeah, so I at Tech was in Greek life. That was like really my extracurricular. Obviously within Greek life, we did a ton of like philanthropic events. I would say I was pretty academic focused, but also like even within my own classes, like, so many, like I remember a project we did in Donna's class and we had to create this video and like I was spearheading it and, we did all these like community projects. I don't know if you guys still have, that might be a senior year project, but so yeah, I would say it was mostly academic and then also Greek life, but within that, really excelling like with a lot of like the group projects and things like that. I was always naturally the one that would kind of take the lead on any of those. But in terms of like outside groups, that was really it. I wish I would have done Prism. If I was you guys now, I would totally do it. It's such a cool opportunity. One of the questions you guys have is like piece of advice or just part of the story. I think part of my success has been, I've always believed in myself. I believed in myself more. You're always going to be your biggest advocate. You will always advocate for yourself more than anyone will. And I think that's really important to understand is to not only believe in yourself, but also like, if you want to be the best and you want to be successful, like you also have to be willing to put in the work. Like I worked and still work when other people don't want to work. And that's okay. It's not for everyone, but I think that's really, success doesn't come easy. And, I still feel like I have so much more growing to do and so much more that I want to accomplish. But that's really the foundation of that is you have to believe in yourself and go with your gut too, like take risks, take those chances. Like if I had never taken a chance and quit my successful job, I wouldn't have had the career that I do now. And I wouldn't have been able to create what I've created. So, I think that's really important, but it's also, you got to be willing to put in the work. You have to work harder than anyone else. You have to work harder. Mark Cuban has a quote that says you have to work like someone is working 24/7, 365 days a year to take it all away from you. And it's true. It sounds harsh, but it's true. Okay, so Trace, to answer your question, how did I learn how to like sell software and transition into selling a house? It's complicated. It's not that easy. So I think the basics of selling are relatively similar no matter, I shouldn't say no matter what you're selling, but across the board, like there's sales skills that people have, and then there's learning how to sell a service, and then there's learning how to sell a product. And real estate is like all of that kind of combined into one. So you take a lot of classes. You have to take like 60 hours pre-licensing. There's a lot that you have to do in order to even get your license. But a lot of that does teach you like contract stuff and more legal jargon. It's not as much of like, this is how you sell a house. So for me, that's where I got a mentor. Like I was like, okay, I don't know anything. I need to learn from someone who's successful and who does it well. And so I went into my office and I introduced myself and I was like, will you be my mentor? Like, will you help me? And, I was like, I'll work for free. Like I will, any lead I get, like I'll give it to you as commission. And I was like, I'll work for free, but I just need you to teach me. And my mentor, she's still in my office. We're in the same office today. And she taught me so much of what I know. Really, she did. I mean, I remember like the first contract I ever wrote, she literally spent an hour on the phone with me, like going through it step by step. And then you just kind of learn through repetition in terms of contracts, things like that. But I think you have to have a little bit of natural sales skills to be successful in this business, because part of real estate too is like, it's not even just selling the house and finding the home for someone is only a small portion of it. Like you have to learn how to manage different personalities, different people in the mix. You have to learn how to tap into certain emotions when you need to, or pull someone back. I mean, I was a psych minor, and I think there's so much psychology in selling too. So really learning and understanding that. I mean, I think just taking classes, I listen to a ton of podcasts, reading books on all certain different things. There's a really good, I don't know if you guys have heard of Chris Voss. He was an FBI negotiator. His podcast is like amazing, but he like teaches you so much of like, I mean, he can get anything out of anyone. He was in like the hostage crisis stuff, and he's amazing. But, I think just seriously watching what other people are doing and learning from them, and then obviously taking classes and, learning fundamentals of not only sales, but within real estate is how you transition. And then honestly, just like experience. The more you sell and the more transactions you do, the more you know the process. But it's always changing. Like there is no two transactions are ever the same. Never. It's a really good question. People think real estate is really easy. There's a reason that there's a lot of licensed agents and that only 1% sells most of the real estate in the nation. Like you look at any major city or even state, it's the same across the board. Couple different things. So our brokerage does a really good job of, we constantly, every single week, are having sales calls, or a title attorney will come on and update us, keep us abreast of all the new law changes. In terms of design changes, just being knowledgeable, talking to, like I have a stager that works with me, and, hearing her opinion on everything. And also knowing when to defer to someone who's more of an expert than you are. So like all these people are a part of my team. So to your point, like when I go to a listing, for example, I'm like, okay, this is what I think we should do, but I'm going to bring in my stager who this is what she does for a living, and she's part of my team. And let's hear what her professional opinion is, and, trust her because she knows what she's doing. So that's part of it too, is knowing, like I have an amazing team of people who, like the title attorneys that I work with, the lenders that I work with, the stager that I work with, movers, etc. Like that is part of the whole picture, and providing that to your clients is saying, listen, these people are the best at what they do. And collectively, we are the best at what we do because of that. So I think you got to know too, like, when you don't know something, you need to defer to someone who does, or the expert. But yeah, we talk a lot about it, keeping up with industry trends, again, just keeping an eye on things. I mean, being in and out of properties too. Like, I mean, I probably am in and out of, I don't even know, 50 plus properties on average a week. So, you just see things too, and you see changes and watching trends. And oftentimes agents are ahead of the trend. So like, even in terms of like when your parents sold, for example, your agent was probably like, okay, we can list it for this price, right? Because based on these comps or based on this sales history. Well, what's happening right now in the current market is what the average consumer sees online or on the news or what have you, that data is 2 months old. Like we are boots on the ground, and I can tell you, okay, that was the case back in March, but let me tell you about this house that just went under contract yesterday and what it went under contract for. So that's part of it too, is you just have to, you really have to know your stuff. Relationships with other agents too. Relationships are everything in life. They really are. Like, that is, if I can tell you anything, it is having genuine relationships with people, no matter what industry, learning from people who are in different industries from you, learning from people who are different backgrounds and different cultures and different ages, and everyone comes from a different walk of life, and relationships are everything in this world. What people don't realize about real estate, I think, is it's going back to, you really are, I'm a small business, like I am a small business, and I've had to learn, I have to learn the day-to-day of real estate and how to sell a house and how to interact with clients, but I also have to know how to run a business. Like, I every year have to send my accountant a profit and loss sheet. Like, everything that you guys are learning in business is relevant in my day-to-day because I run a small business and there's so much that goes into it. I think a lot of people don't realize that. That's a really good question. So I'll start with what didn't go well, or, maybe a struggle. I am very much a perfectionist and set very high expectations for myself and for those around me, which is a good thing a lot of times, but it's also, we live in a world where things happen, right? Like, I can't control every part of the process. I can't control if, something happens on the financing side, for example, that, let's say, this is all kind of like within the real estate world, but like if the appraisal comes in low, well, that's kind of a bad example because we can give comps, but like there's certain things that are out of my control, right? That I just, sometimes you just have to take a step back and be like, okay, listen, there was nothing we could have done about that, but let's figure out how to move forward from that. Like, I am very much someone who views, listen, you can have a bad day, but you can't have a bad couple months, not in this industry. Like, it is too competitive. Like, so you got to decide when you wake up the next day, are you going to see the sunshine or are you going to see rain clouds again, no matter what it is? And, and that kind of goes back to like picking myself back up, that it was like, listen, I had a huge setback and a huge failure, but like, you got to figure out how to make it happen for yourself. No one's going to figure out how to make it happen for you. You have to figure out how to make it happen for yourself in this industry. So I think that's tough. I think when you think about everyone always says for real estate, the highs are high and the lows are low. And it's true. And it's all dependent on me. That's the other thing that's tough, is like, I don't go home at night and be like, oh, well, my manager didn't give me the best accounts. Like, it is on me. It's like, no, I didn't get that listing because I didn't do enough, or, the client didn't connect with me for some reason. So it's personal. Even though people say not to take it personally, it is personal at the end of the day. So that's really challenging to learn how to separate, and just realize you're not going to win everything and not everything you can control. Like, that's part of life, right? That's part of business. I think the biggest success is just what I've been able to create. I'm so proud of, I just look back, if you had told me 5 years ago, 5 years from now, you'd be selling 50 plus houses a year, 25 million a year. That's incredible. Like, there are agents who have been doing this for years that don't do that. But I also look at it as, this is just the beginning for me. Like, I look at people who are selling 100, 150, 200 million, and I'm like, how do I get there? Right? Like, I never get comfortable. I always still have that feeling in my gut that I did when my back was up against a wall and I hadn't sold anything. Every day I'm like, how am I going to sell something else? Or how, where can I create a new client or a new relationship or something? How do I advance myself every single day? And I think that's been part of my success is I don't get comfortable. I'm constantly trying to get to the next level, which I think that could be a little bit of a detriment too, because it's like, you have to be proud of where you've come and appreciate where you come, like, I've accomplished a lot, but it's just the beginning. You have to be positive. Listen, this, not to keep going back to real estate. I mean, life in general is hard, right? Look at the last year that we just had. Like, right. I mean, if you told anyone that was going to happen, like, people would be like, you're out of your mind. But you have to stay positive. I mean, you can't, there's so much that happens in life, and the other thing too is like my hardships, like, don't get me wrong, like there's tough things, it's hard running a business. It's hard depending on yourself. It's hard, making things happen for yourself. But like, there's also so many people in the world who don't have it as good as I do. And I have to recognize that, like, life is pretty good, like what I've created and built for myself, like, I am a very fortunate individual. Like, there are a lot of people who don't have the opportunities that I've been given, and I am not naive to that. And I think that's part of my drive, it's like, I got to make it happen with what I've been given. So why not be positive? I don't know. I don't understand people who wake up every day and are like grumpy. Like, how can you be like that? I don't get it. What a waste of life. Caring, that's another thing. Genuinely caring about what you do and about the people around you will lead you to success. It really will. If you genuinely care and you care about others just as much as you care about yourself and your family, and you want them, like I always tell everyone on my team, I'm like, listen, I always say I want everyone fat and happy. And I joke and I say that because I mean it. Like, I want them to succeed equal to me. Like, yeah, I'm the team lead, but like, if you're not doing well and you're not, loving it, but if you're not crushing it, like, and selling as much as you can and super fulfilled every single day, then I'm not doing my job. Like, I want you to wake up every day and love what you do. And that's part of my job as a team leader, right? And it's the same with you. It's like, there will always be that kind of person. But it's true, it's hard. You can't control everything. And I think you learn that over time too. I mean, I don't think I've really learned that fully yet. Like, my fiance all the time, he's like, you can't control that, just let it go. Like, he's so much better at compartmentalizing than I am, but that's just who I am, I just think my experience overall being a marketing major at Tech was phenomenal. It absolutely set me up for success. I attribute a lot of it, to the courses that we had to take. It's tough. I mean, listen, it's an excellent business program, like, you are learning from the best. But I also think it's the people that I learned from. I mean, you have the best professors. Obviously Donna, like, it's been 10 years since I graduated and I still keep in touch with her, and I still treasure her just as much as I did when I was in school. I remember stories she would tell us about when she was at Ogilvy in New York City. Like, I still tell those stories to other people. I still am like, I'll meet someone whose kid is going to Tech and they're a marketing major. I'm like, you need to get into Donna's classes every time, because she molds you, and a lot of the professors do. So I think that's really part of it. And also my friends that were in marketing with me, they became some of my best friends. And really, because we are very like-minded individuals, not even so much in business, but just, we all felt the same way about Donna or some of our other professors. Like, there's a lot of value in that. And I think you guys obviously now have so many more programs and opportunities that I didn't have, just because Donna's been able to create so much of that for you guys. So yeah, I would say take every opportunity that you can. But I think the marketing department, and I think Tech overall in general, like, it's a phenomenal school. It's a great place to be. It's filled with great people and great professors. And I think you guys are going to look back in 10 years like I am now and be like, wow, like, you might not realize what you're learning every single day in the moment, or you might not realize how impactful it is, but you're going to look back in 10 years and you'll feel the same way that I do, hopefully. I mean, yes, I know, because it's hard. Here's the thing, like, there's always going to be a role for everyone in a group setting, like, there will always be someone that works harder than anyone else, or someone that takes the lead. But there's also a place for everyone within that group. That's what you learn as you start to, even now in group projects, but also like as you get into the corporate world or more of, a business type setting, is you'll realize like there is a role for everyone within an organization. And if you ever want to be, some type of leader, or obviously run a business like I do, like, you do need people for every type of role. But that's part of learning that. And it's difficult. It's difficult to accept that not everyone is at the same caliber that you are. Like, that is tough. And, you know, sometimes, like I said, I mean, I have very high standards for myself and set very high expectations. But I've also had to learn that, like, that it's okay if that's not for everyone. Like, that's okay. I'm not for everyone, you know, but that's okay because I am for a lot of people. And, you know, it's tough. It's tough to learn that, but I would never apologize, and don't ever stop working hard, because I'll tell you what, we live in such a competitive era. Everyone wants to be the next Steve Jobs, the next Elon Musk, right? But the difference between those people and everyone else is that they worked every single day for the first however many years of their career. They still do. They work harder. Everyone who's at the top in no matter what industry, look at sports, look at business. It doesn't matter where, look at the Olympians right now. No one does anything really that different from those in the bottom. It's just that they work 100 times harder, more efficiently, and they want it. They have the passion that they get up every single day and they do the same thing every single day, 100 times as hard as anyone else, because they want it more. And that is why they're at the top. And that is why they're the most successful. And that, I mean, that's the truth, you know, it's a little harsh, but it's true. You know, there's so many Saturdays, like, yeah, my friends are at brunch and I was working, but guess what? It's so fulfilling to me. And it, by the way, it's not to say that I don't go to brunch. Like, I love hanging out with my friends and my family. Don't ever apologize for working hard. I'm telling you, and don't ever lose that passion. I mean, you might get burnt out, you know, like, you do have to take breaks and you have to take vacation for yourself and you have to do what you love, you know, to decompress from work or from school or whatever it may be. But don't ever lose that fire in your belly, because that fire in your belly and that passion, that is how you succeed. And that is how you get to the top faster than others, because you will burn yourself out, you know? And I think you guys have it tougher, not to discredit when I graduated, but I think the world just continues to get tougher and tougher and tougher, you know, like the bar just keeps going up and up and up. And, you know, I do think you have to work hard. Like, this whole notion of, like, again, I always reference, you know, everyone obviously like Elon Musk or whatever, like, he didn't just come out of nowhere, right? Like, he worked incredibly hard to get where he is. Anyone, athletes, like, I always talk about athletes. I don't know if you guys watched the Michael Jordan documentary. It's amazing, by the way. You should watch it. It's like, he had, like, I think it was 3-part series or 4. It's amazing. It's so good. You guys will get so hyped to, like, be like whatever you want to be. But, you know, it's like Michael Jordan is the best for a reason, because he was in the gym every single day, you know, and he worked harder than most athletes did to get there. And he was super hard on himself, like definitely to, you know, I think it probably affected him when he didn't succeed. And we all have that. Anyone who's a natural born entrepreneur or leader or, you know, most people who are probably going to be relatively successful, I would say you have that in you, is, you know, you do always want to do your best and to be the best and to succeed. But you also have to, like, realize that's not all life is about. It sounds so cliche, but it's true. Like, go enjoy your time with your family and your friends. And, you know, you have to, again, work really hard, but absolutely carve out that time and recharge. Like, that is what life's about. You know, when you look back and we're all 75 and wrinkly and hopefully sitting on a beach somewhere, like, you want to be able to tell your grandkids, yeah, listen, I worked really, really, really hard, but I also enjoyed so many of these moments. Like, it's not worth missing out on certain things or certain milestones, but you do have to make sacrifices. So it's a balance. Take every opportunity that you can. That's what I would tell people. Take every single opportunity to learn, to shadow, to grow, to expand your relationships. You know, just say yes. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take risks. If you fail, I failed and I turned out okay, or, you know, I'm still growing. Like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take risks. Know your value, know your self-worth, and take as many opportunities as you can. That's the beauty of being young. Like, you can do it now. You can fail now and you can still get up the next day and be just fine.